Okay, it's not showing.
It should show in a minute.
Okay. In the meantime, while Ms. Johnson is getting that together, SORA is provided in levels. Youthful offenders is never on the SORA Act. Know that youthful offenders are not a part of SORA. Even if they're convicted of a sex offense, they're not on the SORA registration. Okay, there are three levels within SORA. Those three levels are level 1, 2, and 3. 3 being the most severe. Each level can have a designation. A designation is only assigned if the respondent or the defendant has a long history or has possessed a lot of pornography, child pornography. It can be that, or they have a history of touching or rape, but we don't have rape cases. Most of our cases are the child pornography is what we have. Okay, and there you have responsibility. What is the responsibility for the Department of Probation on the sex offender cases? Does anybody know? What is probation responsibility?
To notify.
Notify when?
Once we get the conditions.
No, it's to notify within 48 hours.
48 hours, yeah. I knew that.
48 hours of any changes. 48 hours. That is our responsibility. Any changes, and we're supposed to keep track of all forms of contact they have, all the social media that they're involved in. We should have it: email, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, any social media. We should have that, right? Our registration is only for, all of them are registered. The only ones you can see in the registration are level 2s and 3s. Only 2s and 3s can be seen. This is maintained by the Department of Justice, okay? DCJS maintains the registration, okay? We have to notify them, but our primary responsibility is to notify within 48 hours of changes in their address and where they work, where they're going to school at, okay? As well as enforcing the conditions of probation, all right? So the designation I said is not set by us, it's set by the court. Okay, and you may find it gets later. The next law we're going to talk about is Leandra's law. Leandra's law. Leandra's law was due to a drunk driver. It was a lady who was driving with the kids in the van, you know, on the LIE. That's Leandra's law. As a result of Leandra's law came about the interlock device. Okay, the interlock device, Leandra's law. All you need to know was Leandra's law, drunk driver. Kendra's law, sex offender. You see the association? SORA, Sex Offender Registration Act. Okay? Hamad, I'm looking at you. You look confused. Are you confused? Rashid?
No, I understand. Megan law is such a habit. I got it.
Okay. Okay, so Leandra law, when you think Leandra law, you're thinking DWIs. Okay, let me tell you these key points, right? Leandra, DWI. Kendra, sex offender. As a result, SORA. Okay?
Megan's.
Excuse me?
Megan's law, sex offender.
It's a sex
Megan's law, the sex offender.
Okay.
Kendra's mental health.
Kendra, I didn't get to Kendra yet.
You said it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just talking too fast. Sorry.
Megan's is sex offender?
Yes. Sex
Yes,
offender.
Megan is sex offender. Okay? Megan is sex offender. As a result of Megan's law, SORA came about, Sex Offender Registration Act, which includes levels 1, 2, and 3. 3 being the most severe. Okay, we can only look up levels 2s and 3s. Anyone can look up a level 2 or 3. And designation, yes.
Do you have access to put up the PowerPoint so that they could see it?
I'm on my iPad. My computer won't work with Zoom.
Why don't you just share it, Tanja, and we tell you when to change, okay?
Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah.
Okay, so where are we now? So we was talking about Megan's law, which is a result of the Sex Offender Act, the registration with the state, which monitors after conviction And this there it is, that's,
Do they know the designation, Ms. Thompson, for the sex offender?
the designation for the sex offender can be, anyone can have a designation, level 1, 2, and 3. But again, we have nothing to do with that. Do understand that the only responsibility we have as probation officers is the 48 hour. That's what you need to know, the 48 hours.
48
We have
hours.
48
They have to
hours
register.
that, no, not that just have to register, that if they change their address or anything like that, the registration, and if they move, 48 hours. And there's a form you fill out.
Mhm.
Okay, that's the 48 hours.
Sure.
Okay. The next is Leandra's law, which is what I was just speaking about. That's DWI. So when you think of Leandra, think DWI. IUD, the interlock device that's placed on the car. How long is the interlock device? So if the question should come up, the court decides how long this device stays on the car. It came about in November 2018. But Governor, you don't need to know that, Governor Patterson. I'm going to give you the key points, okay? Interlock device, how long on the interlock device? As long as the court says. We do not decide when the interlock device comes out off the car, just that it goes on the car.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
There was like a question on the sample exam that said, if the court forgets to put that in the conditions, then what do?
You take it back to court.
And enhance.
You can, if it's the same day and you find out the same day that the court forgot to put it on there, then it goes, you should contact the CLO for that part, and it goes back to court the same day as long as the court is open.
Thank you.
Okay? If you find out later on, then you do the enhance, it has to go back to court. The laws have been changed. They said that all of them, everybody is going to have the interlock device on their car. Anybody convicted of DWI. And the question comes about, if I'm talking too fast, you have to tell me, okay?
What do you mean enhanced? Like, would you request they enhance the probation order to include interlock?
You can, yes, and you can, or you can remind them that they forgot to put it on there, because sometimes they forget.
Okay.
Okay, so you can let the court know. And do know that with the interlock device, it goes on every car that the client has access to. Cars registered to him, or if he's living in a home and someone else has a car and he's driving that car, then it must be on that car also. Is that clear?
Yes.
All right.
And you could do an enhance to increase anyone's supervision if you uncover that something was not done in court or something unusual about the client. Okay.
Okay.
Is that like it's a memo, an enhance?
Yes.
Yes, it's a memo.
Okay, because that's in family, it's like a memo to court.
It is a memo. It's a memo in adult operations too.
Okay.
If there is something on the conditions of probation that is not there because we don't have the right to enhance the conditions of probation, we write the memo and ask the judge and tell them what we want enhanced and why we wanted it on there. Even if you're sending someone to a drug treatment program, even though we have the right to send them to the drug treatment program, it always looks better when the judge orders it, so we can put it in a request to the judge enhance the conditions of probation if it's not a part of the conditions of probation. Okay?
Yes.
All right. So that was Leandra's law. The next law we're going to talk about now, I'll tell you what about the interlock device. Then the next is Kendra's law.
Mental health.
That's mental health, absolutely. Kendra's law is mental health. So when you think of Kendra, think of mental health. So let's get these together, right? Make sure I got it together, right? When we think Megan, who are we thinking about? Megan's law, we're thinking who?
Sex offenders.
Sex offenders.
That's right, we're thinking sex offenders. And as a result of Megan's law, what law came about out of that?
SORA.
That's right.
Sex Offender Registration Act.
Absolutely. And what are the levels?
The levels
one,
is
2, and 3.
1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3.
And who decides?
Court.
The court.
That's right. What are our responsibilities?
Notify
48
48 hours of any changes.
That's right. Okay,
Lee
now, I
Kruger
love
has a
this.
question.
Who has a question?
Yes, you're not gonna eat all of these, Kaden. You're gonna get a stomach ache, okay?
I'm gonna get a stomach ache? You said I'm gonna get a
Oh my
stomach
God.
ache?
I'm
Somebody
sorry,
doing double duty, double
I'm
duty.
sorry, Miss Thompson. I'm talking to my son.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, what was the question? I'm sorry.
I hit unmute by accident.
It's okay. All right, so when we think Megan, we think sex offender. As a result of sex offender, we wrote about SORA, right? Sex Offender Registration Act. The next one, when we think Leandra, what do we think is there?
Drunk driving,
That's right, drunk driving.
Interlock.
As a result of that, what did that result in?
interlock.
That's
IID.
right, interlock. How long is it
Leandra's
on the,
law.
how long is it on the car?
As long as the judge says it has to be.
For as long as the court says it's on there.
That's right. Now, here's a question I'd like to ask everyone. If someone is sentenced today and the judge says interlock device on the car, he says interlock device is supposed to be on for 6 months. In the 7th month that the person is on probation, do they have to get the interlock device?
No,
They get it right
Absolutely
away.
not. That's
because
right.
that the judge gave a specific time, and when that time comes, it's expired.
That's right. And the time started the day he was sentenced.
Mhm.
Okay, so the next law we talked about, that's Kendra's law. I mean, that was Leandra's law. And Kendra's law was,
Mental health.
that's right. So when you think Kendra, we think in mental health. The next law we need to know is GORA.
What?
GORA.
Kendra,
Go-
you got Kendra's law?
I did Kendra.
Okay, Ms. Thompson, do we have, remember, I have it on the other power. Remember Brad H case, Brad H cases? I put it on the output, but we could talk about it now since we're talking about Kendra's mental health law.
Go ahead, talk about Brad H.
Anyone familiar with Brad H cases on probation clients who are incarcerated and have a mental health and seen a psychiatrist? Anyone remember what Brad H is?
Yeah, so pretty much if they are on medication, or they're incarcerated or something like that, they're mentally incarcerated, they get their medicine for up to a week.
Yes, they have to, yes, very good, yes. They have to get
Right.
their medication up to a week?
That's upon being released from incarceration.
Release.
Yes, they have to get medication, yes, from Rikers. But the
Zala.
officers, let me look at it, 1 second.
But aren't they supposed to have a service plan when they are released?
Yes,
Yes,
To be linked to a service provider, right?
yes.
yes.
Charge plan, okay.
And
But
they're-
sometimes they don't have it.
Right?
Most of the time they don't have it.
Yep.
Okay.
1 second, 1 second.
While she's looking for that, the next one is GORA.
Okay.
That's the Gun Offenders
The
Registration Act. That's the Gun Offender Registration Act,
Or
GORA. Okay, underneath this act, Penal Law 265.02 through 3, that's criminal possession of a weapon of 3rd
Okay.
degree, 3 or more firearms, criminal possession of a weapon of 3rd degree, even if it's a past gun conviction, or more firearms or a disguised gun. It's considered a GORA case. Okay?
The 3 or more convictions of a weapon?
Yes.
it's on,
Three
you
of-
don't have, yeah.
Yes, Miss Powell.
There are a
Okay.
bunch, there are a few of them, right? 3 or more firearms, right?
3 or
Past
more
gun-
firearms, past gun convictions or
Yes.
more firearms,
Yeah,
or a disguised gun.
yes.
Okay,
It's
those
2,
are considered GORA cases.
or if you have like an ammunition feeding device, a loaded firearm, criminal possession of weapon, 2, 3, all 3s. Okay, 265.02. So look
Okay.
under that penal code for that, for those.
Excuse me, and those are convictions, right? Not arrest.
What?
Yes, yes, yeah.
How are you talking to me or somebody else?
Thank you.
So let's go back to the Brad H cases. So whomever gave us that information was correct. So they are in custody. These cases are in custody under psychiatric treatment or prescribed medication. The split sentence probation officer, there's a split sentence probation officer at Rikers. So they become aware of the Brad H cases from a list from correction, right? The probation or is admitted during the interview, right? Or that they're under the psychiatric treatment or prescribed medication. Okay, so once the case is identified as a Brad H case, the PO will have to sign, will have the client sign the Department of Probation Mental Health release form. The POL will then contact the Department of Mental Health and Hygiene to obtain necessary psychiatric, medical, and discharge summaries. The PO will make chrono to note that that this is a Brad H case. Now, this is the person who is attached to Rikers. We have a probation officer at Rikers, right? Okay. When the probationer is released, they are to be given 1 week's medication. So if the client doesn't have a week's medication and 3 weeks of prescription, so they're supposed to have 1 week medication and 3 weeks of prescription so they could refill it. The probationer is also referred to SPAN. It's a service plan and an assistant network program who provides outreach, right? So they have to be connected immediately to this program. The probationer should report to SPAN within 30 days of release for comprehensive discharge plan and services. So as officers, we have to act immediately on these cases because Kendra was pushed off the train by severely mentally ill individuals. So we have to be very careful about these cases. Okay, that's Brad H law, Brad H case, just in case it comes up.
Hi, just a quick question.
Yes.
Is Brad H a condition of probation? Is it written in the conditions of probation?
No, it's not.
No,
Okay,
the officer who's stationed at Rikers, we have a probation officer stationed at Rikers. They should let us know, like they interview people before they're released into the community from our department. So if this is identified there, they should put it in the chrono notes, right?
right.
And then you have to now follow up immediately. You have to make sure they have their medication or prescription or refer them immediately to SPAN or mental health clinic of sorts.
Okay, so if they fail to comply, is that considered a violation of probation or is it a memo to court?
I mean, I would presume you would need to do a memo to court, maybe to get some.
You would have to do a memo to court because it's
Yeah.
not on the conditions of probation.
Yeah,
The conditions of probation may read that they need to be in treatment. But it's not for violation. If it's a technical, it's a technical. If the court ordered it, it's a
Yeah.
technical.
No.
Now, if it's not on there, again, you write a memo to the court and you ask that they put it on. Is that clear for you, John?
Yeah,
Because when he-
very much so.
when he's sentenced, the judge may not know that he may not be determined a Brad H case at that point.
It is determined on Rikers Island
Yeah,
because they do an evaluation of everybody coming
Yeah.
through. Okay, and that's where it will come out that he was on medication.
yes.
Or he may never have been on medication, but while he's on Rikers Island,
Yeah.
they evaluated him, decided he needed the medication.
Yeah,
You understand,
he's
John? You
severely-
got that?
yeah, that he's severely mentally ill.
Yes.
Severely mentally, it's just, yeah.
And if they come out and they don't have the discharge summary, then we have to refer them to, I believe, I know in Harlem Hospital does it. You refer them to one of the city hospitals and they will medicate them. Okay? All right, so now we went through all the laws that we need to know. So we got Kendra, we got Megan, we got Leandra, we got Gora, and we got the sex, so we know which one is attached to which one. Any questions in regards to the laws?
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
For the Brad H cases, that's only applicable for individuals getting released from Rikers or any type of correctional facility, correct?
Yes, that's absolutely right.
Okay. Okay, and for the Gora, where can we find this to get more information regarding the charges?
we're going to put up, and when we finish, we're going to put up a whole lot of information for you in the chat,
Okay,
and it'll all be right there, okay?
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, then. That was Miss Santana, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so now we're going to put up our next PowerPoint, Ms. Johnson. She there? Hello?
You need me to put up the PowerPoint?
Yes, yes, yes. All right, then. Now, here we're going to put up later on, and we're going to put it in the chat. I don't know, and we're going to put all this in the chat. What we're going to do here is we're going to summarize everything that you need to know, but you should read the work that we're going to put in the chat for you. And it's going to say SPO prep test, okay? Prep info. Okay, Miss Salinger, you want to take over here? So we're doing our adult operation. Remember, in taking the exam, it is policy over practice. Do not take this exam based on what you're doing. Take this exam based on what you should be doing. You have to be able to stand on EPAPs, and everything should be supported by your EPAP.
Yes, remember, policy over practice.
Policy over
Okay,
practice.
Practice. Because we don't always practice what's policy.
Yes.
You got 2 hands raised for questions. Lee Kruger?
Go ahead, Mr. Kruger.
His
Lee?
his hand was raised a while ago, so maybe he's.
I don't know why it keeps posting these questions.
He said
I
Brad H.
I have no idea. I'm just sitting here listening and it keeps posting questions. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay,
I
who's the other
apologize.
person?
Are you sure your baby's not typing?
There's another hand raised by Pride.
I see Pride's hand. It's been up for a while. Pride?
Okay.
All right then. So let's move on. Go to the next slide, please.
Yes.
Now we're talking about we're talking about investigation. You need to know what gives us the right to write in a PSI or pre-sentence report. That is CPL 390.20. 390.20 gives us the right to the PSI report. That and underneath what grounds should the PSI report be written? It is written on someone is going to coming on probation. It is written if on felonies where they are prison bound. Prison bound PSIs are written. One cannot be sentenced to prison. Don't get it confused with jail and prison. Jail is Rikers Island. Prison is upstate. No one can go upstate without a PSI. It is done for every youth offender. When someone is receiving youth offender status, a PSI must be done, whether they're coming on probation or not. It is done on misdemeanors when the person is doing 180 days and except 180 days. In other words, if they have been sentenced to a split, a 90-day split, and it's 2 cases, 2 misdemeanor cases, and each one is given 90 days and they're run consecutively, not concurrently, consecutively. That means one behind the other. That means they're doing 180 days. A PSI must be done. Okay? Now, PSIs can be waived. A PSI can be waived. These are all the reasons why PSI should be done. And that you should know the different types of PSI. There's a pre-sentence investigation. That PSI is done before they're sentenced. That means they've taken a plea or they've been found guilty by trial. Then there's the PSI, a modified PSI, the full enhanced, and then there's a pre-pleading PSI. A pre-pleading PSI is a PSI that is written before there's been a conviction. Before there's been a conviction, you can do a pre-pleading PSI. We also write reports for certificates of relief. When someone requests a certificate of relief, we write reports. We write reports for on violations. We basically write reports whenever the judge orders it. We can write a report. We write supplements. And if you're in
And for
family
family
court, you write the
those-
INR in family court.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that would not be a PSI, it would be an INR. We would do that. Whenever a judge requests us to write a report, we write a report. We can
Like
never say
family-
we're not doing a report.
So family court also do a lot of other reports like adoption reports, custody report, guardianship, neglect, visitation. And they have like other supplemental reports that they do write. So the ones underneath family court are some of the reports that family court takes care of. They're not adult, but we just want to let you know that.
Okay,
Do we know
So
what a
for-
certificate of relief from disability is? It's under correction law 23.
does anybody know what a certificate of disability is and who's eligible? Don't change yet, Tandra. Who's eligible for certificate of relief?
A person who has one offense, one felony on their
That's
record.
right, one felony. A youthful offender does not need a certificate of relief. Okay? So if someone has been granted youthful offender status, they don't need a certificate of relief. But in order to get it, you must have a reason. I mean, they must have one felony. And what is the reason for writing the certificate of relief? It helps with the rehabilitation of the client. And it also helps the rehabilitation for the community. Think of it in terms of this. Certificate of relief helps them to get a job, but it does not guarantee a job. Okay, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to get a job. All it does is says that you only have one felony and we forgive you. Okay, that's basically what it says. All right, but it doesn't mean that the employer or whoever is interviewing you for a position has to hire you because you have a certificate of relief. It does not mean that. Okay, so the next one.
Ms.
we have
Ms.
here-
Thompson, can I
What-
make a correction? It's 390.30, right, guys? Not 20. The other same, to go back to the other one, the previous one. Keep going, Tanja. Next one.
Right there, I see it.
That's it. The
Each
next one?
element- Yes. I made an error.
390.30.
Yes.
Not
Keep going.
20.
Keep going to the next one. Yeah, that one. It's not clicking. Yes. No, the second with the kid in red.
That's this one.
Yes. No. Where am
And
I?
it's this one.
You have two in red.
It's either one of those two.
390.30, you said, 0.30?
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
Nope,
I
the
wanna
next
go
one
to-
above that is this one.
The one listen, let's not keep going.
Yes.
Let's just.
Yes.
fix it.
I'm sorry, the next
CPL
one. I'm sorry. Yes.
CPL 390.30.
That's investigation.
That's CPL mean criminal procedure law.
Mhm.
In that procedure law, it tells us what gives probation the right to write the reports for court. CPL 390.30.
Yes, go to that one, Tanja, the one you're pointing on. Yes.
God.
Go ahead.
And 20 is just for the requirements.
Yeah, so CPL 90.30, it gives the requirements for the scope of I put 20 instead of 30, guys. Okay, CPL 0.30, the scope of investigation and report. So it just tells us what we should put in the report, right? So Ms. Thompson mentioned this last week, the PSI or the YLS need to have relevant and reliable information concerning the legal history, the current offense, the defendant statements. What else do we put in the PSI or the YLS?
Hey, but I'm here listening to the union stuff.
We put in
Oh, thank you. I
also,
told her she can come up
Excuse
here.
me, could you
but
mute
I said,
yourself?
Somebody's not muted.
Okay, go ahead, go on. Ms.
So
Watts
what
has
else
her
do-
hands up.
What, yes.
Yes, Ms. Watts.
I have my hand up for something else, but to answer your question, the PSI has, like the victim's impact statement, or if the victim's not available, the next of kin. That
Yes,
is also in 390.30.
yes.
Question I have regarding PSI, what is a supplementary report? One of the sample questions asks if the, like an incarcerated defendant wasn't available for an interview pre-sentence and the attorney is requesting that you do an interview, or he's requesting a supplementary report. What's the difference between that and the PSI?
That I saw that one in the family court area. It just said supplemental report. I don't know if someone in family court could answer that. Other
Well, I'm in
than,
family court, but we,
yeah,
this doesn't seem like it was, because it geared more like adult, because it said an incarcerated defendant.
This one tonight, Ms. Watts, we were doing adult. It is adult.
This one is adult, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Because
So
the one for juvenile would be underneath the FCA, the Family Court Act.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, this is adult. CPL
Okay.
is usually adult.
Right. Now, the supplementary report, is that in conjunction or something in lieu of the PSI?
No, what a supplementary report is done is once a report is done and the judge, we missed something, like maybe we didn't interview the victim. And the judge wants to hear from the victim. Then that would be a supplement to the report that's already been done.
Okay.
Okay? It's like an add-on.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you, Ms. Thompson.
You're gonna miss me when I'm gone.
You're not going anywhere, Ms. Thompson.
You got that right. Okay, so the next we talk about the PSIs. What you must remember always, if you see these words in an answer, relevant and reliable, or anything around it, remember the reports always must be relevant and reliable. Okay, not a lot of fluff, factual. It has to be factual because the courts, what is the purpose of the PSI? Is that, or an INR, is to help the judges or the shareholders or anyone who's involved, the district attorney, the defense attorney, in the sentencings, or if he's going to prison, to help the correctional facility know a little bit about the person that's coming. Okay? So in the PSI should include a full picture of family background, work history. It should include anything about their health, anything about their mental condition. It would be in the PSI. Okay, so let's do the next one, the next slide. Okay, when is a PSI mandatory? A PSI is mandatory on a felony conviction when it's going to state prison, which I've already stated. It's mandatory on a misdemeanor conviction when the person, is there a chance we can do a third class? Mr. Lee Kruger, absolutely not. The exam is on Wednesday.
All right, no time.
No time.
I just went into my garage. I don't know why it's sending this stuff. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, it must be a ghost. Okay.
Unbelievable.
Maybe you should study with your son.
Okay, anyway, when is a PSI mandatory? If a person is going to state prison, PSI is mandatory. They cannot go without it. If it's a misdemeanor that's going to be doing time on Rikers Island in excess of 180 days, PSI must be done. If the person's a youthful offender, whether they're coming on probation or not, PSI must be done. Okay, a PSI can be done whenever the judge wants us to do it. The judge orders it, we do it. Those are the other two situations. The other three that I've mentioned is when it must be done. But he can also order if the person's coming on probation, he can do it. A waiver, what is a waiver? A waiver is a PSI that is not done. It means that the defense attorney, the district attorney has agreed to sentence. The probation is always a probation, not if they're going to jail. Because if they're going to jail, you have to have a PSI. Has agreed to be sentenced without the PSI. Then it becomes the responsibility of the probation officer to get as much information about the client as they possibly can. Okay? Okay. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. So who can have a waiver? Can a youthful offender have a waiver?
No.
Oh,
Absolutely not. Youthful offender cannot have a waiver, whether he's coming on probation or whether he's going to be incarcerated, he must have a PSI. Okay? All right, so the next one we have we've just gone through this, and when a PSI must be done, and a PSI can be done. And this goes on to what Ms. Watts was saying. Ms. Watts, when you were asking about a supplement, when you're writing, when we do violations of probation, and we hand in the it's attached to the package of the probation. When we write those updates are supplements to the PSI because the address may have changed, circumstances may have changed, and we'll be putting all that in our updates. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so that takes care of that. And it's also written, if a PSI has been previously written and it's less than 12 months old, then the judge can use that and we don't have to do another PSI. So in other words, if you have someone who's coming on probation and he comes on probation, a PSI was done, a full PSI was done. Within that year, he gets rearrested again. The judge may not order another PSI. He may use the one that's already been done. Okay? And up to the judge. But keep in mind, a PSI can be ordered, any reports can be ordered at any time by the judge, and it doesn't have to be for certain reason. Whenever he wants it, he can just order it. He can even order that you just do not a PSI, but a supplementary report, maybe just on the victim statement. Or he may ask you to do a report on someone's employment, or just maybe on the family background. Whatever the court orders, that's what we do. That's the type of report that we do. Okay? All right, the next. Oh, look at Aisha. Okay. Interim probation. On interim probation is someone who has entered a plea. They have entered a plea and the judge, for the most part, can't decide whether to give them probation or give them incarceration. So he puts them on interim probation. What you need to know is interim probation can last up to a year. It can be extended for another year, but that's usually when they're in drug court and they're in a treatment program. What you also need to know is that time, they're not on probation, but they are held to the same conditions of someone who has been sentenced to probation, because interim probation is not on probation. They have not been sentenced to probation. And the one thing about interim probation is you cannot violate. You cannot violate someone who's on interim probation.
not a sentence.
Yeah, that's right. They have not been sentenced to probation, so you cannot violate them.
So Ms. Tom,
yes.
Sorry, is that similar to our ICM in family court where the person has not been sentenced, but they're being supervised in the community?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, because even when you're in family court, when they ICM, you can't violate them, right? Because they have not been sentenced.
I just
But
have a quick question.
Yes.
There are interim conditions of probation also. So
Yes.
if they violate one of those or more of those conditions, we cannot violate them?
No, you cannot, because they have not been sentenced.
Okay.
All you can do is alert the court.
Okay.
Send a report to the court.
A memo to court?
You send a memo to let me explain it to you. While a person is on interim probation, it was for a year, the judge gives it adjournments in between. And each time there's an adjournment, you're supposed to be writing a report to the court to let the
That's
court
right.
know how's he doing.
That's right.
Okay, if during that report writing or in between your adjournments, something happens, you can always write a report right away and have it done. And the court will issue a warrant. You do home visits. Someone asked, do we do home visits on interim cases? Yes, we do. You treat it like it's on probation. Oh my God, somebody's echoing.
Yeah, I'm trying to find them.
On the interim probation, the only difference between an interim probation and a...
And then see what happens at that point. And then we'll get started. I'll wait like a minute or so and then introduce you, Cynthia. Okay? All right, this sounds great.
This is horrible. Okay, anyway, when someone...
Give me a second.
While she's gone, an interim probation case.
Wait.
The only... Okay, Tandy, you found them?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes,
On
I did.
interim probation case, the difference between an interim probation case and a straight probation case is that you cannot, they're not sentenced. Excuse me just a moment. You need to shut up. Okay, so interim probation case can't be violated because they're not sentenced. But the time that they spend on interim probation, if they're sentenced to probation, counts toward that. In other words, if a person was given interim probation a year ago, and he is sentenced this year, his MED date, this is 2021 we're in, his MED date would not be 2026. It would be 2025, because that year that he served in interim probation is taken into account. It's what we call non-proton, which means to go back. So you're going back to the time he was given interim probation. Is that clear?
Ms. Thompson, can I just make a comment?
Yes.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that with interim probation case can be extended at some point?
Yes, it can. It can be
Yes.
extended for another year.
Yes.
That usually happens when it's a drug, when they're in drug treatment.
Drug treatment court, yeah.
Drug treatment court. Yes, I stated that when it's in drug treatment court, it can,
Okay, I'm
and that
sorry.
2 years, it's okay. And those 2 years are counted towards the 5 years. Okay, so excuse me, if they were given interim 2 years ago, then the MED date would be 2024, because that would be 2 years. Okay, which means that all they have is 3 years left on probation. Okay, any questions? Is that clear for everyone? All right.
Did they see that tree, Ms. Thompson? You kind of reviewed it before, so it was just, they could take a picture of it if they want to for the PSI.
I'm changing it on my computer in front of me like I'm changing hers. Okay, but
It's okay.
we can put it in the chat. We'll put the whole thing in the chat. Okay, next one, Miss Johnson. Youthful offender. A youthful offender is something that is granted by the judge. And a youthful offender is given to anyone who is between the ages of 16 and 19. 16 and 19. It's usually for felonies. With the new raise the age, if it was a misdemeanor, the 16 and 17-year-olds, they would be over in family court. They're no longer in criminal court. All misdemeanors that are committed by that age group is in family court. Okay, so youthful offender can only be given once. Once. Now, Mr. Kruger, a 14-year-old would be in family court, and he would be considered a JO.
I really don't. I'm gonna reboot. I don't know why he keeps asking these questions. I swear to God.
You got a smart computer.
I'm literally. I really have no.
Lee, at this point, just go with it, man. At this point, just.
But they're really good questions, though.
But I can't even take credit because I knew that we make home
Okay.
visits on
You're running about
interim.
time. We gotta go.
I apologize.
Okay. No problem. Okay, so a youthful offender can only be granted once. Okay, if you have a case and it's already gotten youthful offenders, he cannot get youthful offenders again. Okay, is that clear?
Yes.
All right.
Say that again, please.
If someone is granted youthful offender status, which has to be verified, the age has to be verified, they cannot receive youthful offender status again.
Okay, thank you.
It can only be given once. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it was given in New York or any place else. It's one time. So
Can it be given once as a felony and once as a misdemeanor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Once as a felony or once as a misdemeanor.
Also,
so I guess
Vera.
technically that would be 2 times, right?
That would be 2.
Yes, but I was only speaking of in regards to felonies. I'm sorry.
Also, Vera,
Yes.
Also too, if he was given youthful offender in family court, he cannot be given youthful offender in adult court.
Family court doesn't give youthful offender. Okay? Family court does not give youthful offender.
Yep.
Family court cases are belong in family court are not viewed, cannot be viewed by everybody. You can't even see a case in family court if it's sealed.
And the youthful offender, a youthful offender is, what did it say? It's adjudicated, right? They are
not
finding, not a
convicted, they're
conviction.
adjudicated.
Yes, they're adjudicated. It's not, if it's not a conviction, it's a finding.
Is
I
that
have a
clear from them?
question.
Yes.
So if it's a felony for family court, then it's going to be a juvenile delinquent, correct?
It could be a juvenile delinquent, or it can be an AO, an adolescent offender, or it could be a JO.
Okay, thanks.
Those are terminologies in family court. And AO can be also can be in adult court. If they committed a felony and the judge has not transferred the case over to family court, and he gets convicted in criminal adult court, he can get AO status.
What is
Those
this?
16. Those are those 16. Excuse me.
What does it stand for again? AO?
An adolescent offender.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Mr. Kruger, did you say something? You went off. Okay. Change the slide, please. Now, we all know about split sentences. A split sentence is usually on a 5-year probation or even on 10-year probation. If it's a sex offender, they can get up to 6 months incarceration along with probation. And if it's a misdemeanor, you can do 90 days plus probation. You can even do weekends and probation. Okay? Any questions in regards to that? And if you are the split sentence, you can, if it's a felony, if you're convicted of a felony, or you can do 90 days, you can do up to 6 months on Rikers Island and 5 years probation. Or 6 months on Rikers Island and 10 years probation if it's a sex offense. If you're convicted of a misdemeanor, you can get 90 days on Rikers Island and 3 years probation. Those 90 days or those 60 days are included in the 5 or 3 year probation. So if they have 5 years probation, if you hear the word term split, 6 month split. Someone wrote, Augusta, you wrote 10 years. Sex offender felony.
We have John Augusta on the line?
No. Felony sex offenses get 10 years. Felony sex offenders are sentenced to 10 years. Okay?
Okay.
Misdemeanor sex offenders, if it's an A-class misdemeanor and it's a sex offense, can be on probation for 6 years.
Jason Luke has his hand up.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Yes.
Hi, Jason.
I want to know, I believe there's a law, I'm not remembering the name right now, where if someone comes off a split sentence and like they're coming close to MED and their time wasn't factored into the MED date, you can like do a memo to court and say something about that law to give them the credit back. I don't know if I'm right about that.
You're talking about the Zimkin memo. If someone is given a 6 month split, it says on the condition of probation, 6 months incarceration, 5 years probation. That's what you will see. But that 6 months is included into that 5 year. It does not change the MED date. It does not extend it. The Zipkin memo is what you're talking about. It's been a long time since we've done one, so you may not hear about it. The Zipkin memo was put in place when we were talking about interim probation. When we found that people were being sentenced 5 years probation and they already done a year or two on interim probation, And they weren't taking that into account, which made the person could be on probation for 6 years or 7 years. Which
Ms.
was
Thompson,
illegal.
someone mentioned the Zephyrin law.
They're talking about the Zipkin memo.
Okay.
There is no Zipkin law. I know, okay?
Okay.
All right, so we're moving on. We did a split sentence. All right, what's the next one? We're doing now Article 70. Article 70. Whew, I'm so tired.
Violent felonies.
Article 70 is the sentence of imprisonment for felony drug offenders other than an A-class felony. For the purpose of this section, the following terms may mean felony drug offender, means an offender who stands convicted of any felony defined in Article 220 or 222 of this chapter. That would be Article 70. That's what it covers. It's convicted drug offenders. Now, Ms. Salinger, would you like to elaborate on this?
No, Ms. Thompson, I don't have anything else to elaborate on.
Okay.
Vera,
the
can I ask a
next-
question?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I thought, okay, Article 7 you said is convicted drug offenders.
Yes, it deals with sentencing.
But as you go down the line, like 7002, I thought it was just like for violent felonies.
And drug offenders.
And drug offenders, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
What Article 70 does is there's this Article 70.2 and Article 7, you know what I'm saying, like that?
Mm-hmm.
But they're dealing with the sentencing. If you're convicted of a felony, a violent felony, or has drugs that's a felony that involves drugs, it's the guidelines for sentencing.
Okay.
That's what it is. It's the guidelines for sentencing. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, the next one we have is Article 35. Now, Article 35 is not a gun law only. It defines your ability to use of force to defend yourself in all situations. In essence, Article 35 is a justification for your actions taken. You should be familiar with, for the department's Article 35, you should be familiar with EPAP 25-02-08. Familiarize yourself with that. You need to know the circle of which force comes into play. Okay, the circle which force comes into play on Article 35. Come in. Oh gosh, just a moment.
I'll start, Ms. Thompson.
Okay, thank you. Come in, get your button.
So the first level of force we have is professional presence. And then we have verbal command, our voice. Then we have unarmed physical contact. And then we have non-impact weapon. Do we know what a non-impact weapon is?
Pepper spray.
All right, OC, yes. Then we have our impact weapon.
But you just so you know, probation does not have an impact weapon.
That would be like the not or the baton.
Right.
That's right.
Like a baton, yes.
Your radio is not an impact weapon. Go on.
Go ahead, Ms. Thompson.
Okay, and the next would be deadly physical force. But remember this, whenever the force must be equal. It must be equal. In other words, if they give you a scenario, if someone who's running away, you don't have the right to shoot them in the back. If someone slaps you in the face and turn and run away, you cannot run after them to slap. Okay, your professional presence, your shield is your part of your professional presence. Okay, and this is a circle of force, but never do we have impact weapons. Our weapons are not impact weapons. The butts of your little 9mm is not an impact weapon. We only have non-impact weapon, and that would be our OC spray. Okay, the next slide, please. What would be the reasons for us to use force? We can use deadly physical force to defend oneself. We can use it to defend the life of another. And we can use it to stop a felony in progress. That's in progress. Any questions? Everybody got that?
Yes.
Okay. Oh my God. That's
Okay,
my
I'll
baby,
take over,
sorry.
Ms. Thompson.
Go ahead.
But you could help me, of course, okay? Okay, so now we're talking about the principles of effective intervention. We have the risk principle. We have the risk principle is the who, like who's this person sitting in front of us, like in terms of their propensity to reoffend, to get rearrest. We're talking about their recidivism rate, right? So this is why we do the LSIR to determine the who. Then we have the needs principle, which is the what. So we get the risk and the needs from using the LSIR or the YLS. So the needs is the what. When we talk about the what, we're talking about the 10 domains, like what are their needs? Substance use, their attitudes and orientation, education, peers, companion, those kinds of things, okay? So that's what we use. Those are the needs principle. Then we talk about responsivity. We talk about the how. So how are we going to assist these clients that we're working with, right? What program are we going to send them to, right? How are they going to respond in terms of their motivation? Do they have any cognitive behavioral issues? Do they have any things that would prevent them from functioning well in a program? We also want to think about the why. So when you think about the why, we're talking about any trauma that the client may have experienced. What have they been through? Why are they behaving the way they are, right? Instead of thinking about what happened while they're doing this, we have to think about what happened to them. And then the last one we have is program integrity, what works. So we have to decide what program we're going to send the clients to. At probation, we know that all of our programs are vetted generally, right? So we have to think about like what works for the client. So when you think of principles of effective intervention, we want to know the who, the what, and the why, and the how, okay? The who, the what, and the how. The who, the what, and the how, and program integrity. So program integrity also includes the how the program itself is functioning. Is it a program that uses CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy? What's their treatment modality, right? Any questions about program effective intervention? Any questions? Okay. So do we know about the stages of change? I'm not going to go into details. Do we know about, and who could tell me what pre-contemplation is?
The first step.
First step, I
Yes.
think pre-contemplation is when you haven't figured out what the issue is yet, or you haven't acknowledged what the problem is.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I said, I think pre-contemplation stages is when a probationer hasn't acknowledged that there's an issue yet.
Excellent. Yes, they have yet to acknowledge that there's an issue. Very good. How about contemplation?
They're aware of it.
Contemplation?
They're gradually figuring out that there now is an issue. So they're recognizing that there is an issue.
Yes,
they thinking about
they
it.
kind of, yes, right. So before they didn't know that it was an issue, that it was a problem, right? Now in contemplation, they're trying, they know that there's an issue, but they're like, they're straddling the fence in a sense, right? They know that they need to go, but they may not yet be preparing to go. They're thinking about going, right? They're not quite ready to go.
Right.
How about preparation?
Action step.
Right, they may be taking an action step, right? Maybe, maybe they've acknowledged, right, that there is a definite problem now and they're ready to make preparation.
They
Maybe
planning,
they are, what could somebody be doing in preparation stage?
Talking
planning.
about change.
Huh?
Change
They
talk.
they
Right,
planning.
there's some change talk going on, right? So the change talk actually started in contemplation, but it's definitely in preparation. So there may be, maybe like say you guys are on a diet. Like what do you do when you're preparing for a diet? What do you do?
Go to a hospice.
No, set a goal. No, a diet. You're not dying. Diet.
So let's say you're on a diet. What are some of the things you do to prepare for your diet?
You plan what the plan, gather a plan.
No. You go to a buffet.
No. Okay.
You plan, you buy
A
the
meal
buy the
plan,
proper
a meal
flight.
plan.
So
Your
the
meal
night-
prep.
Start getting rid of the
You
crappy
plan,
food in your
Ah,
fridge.
exactly. You start to get rid of the crap. You start cleaning out your refrigerator, right? You may start to tell your friends that you're on a diet, so you're not really going to be going to the buffet anymore, right? You start to
Right.
get
So you
yourself ready.
detoxing. You
Yes,
detoxing.
yes, exactly, absolutely. So
Weigh
you're
yourself.
preparing yourself, right? So you may start to read up on dieting, like what diet do I want to go on? What program do I want to go on, right? Okay, when you think about action, what is action?
The doing.
Ah, exactly. So when you're in action, what that might look like?
You taking control of the
You're on the
situation.
diet. You're eating
Right.
healthy.
Oh yeah, so you start to eating healthy, right? So you're starting to
You're
to
following
prep.
the diet.
You're following the diet, you're prepping your meals every day, right? Maybe you stop drinking soda, maybe you're, going to the gym. You start to really think about your health and you're actually doing it. You're feeling really good, right? So what about maintenance?
Keeping it up.
You keep it up.
Right, so maintenance is 6 months to 2 years, right? So maintenance, like maybe you lost like say 20 pounds and you're feeling good about yourself. So now you really have bought into this. So you're really starting to work your program. So it's the same way for the client, right? So what happens sometimes when we get into maintenance? What happens when we lose
Relapse.
20 pounds?
Relax.
Right?
Go to
We think we could-
McDonald's.
Yes, we think we could go to McDonald's with our friend, right? We could go to the buffet and we could chill and just have water, right?
To the bar.
Yes, right?
Miss
Exactly.
Leandra,
Yes?
is it possible we can let Pio Laguerre back in? He got kicked out.
I don't control it. Tanja, can you let Pio Laguerre back in? He got kicked out. Thank you. Yeah, so
I can't let him back in until he signs in.
he has to sign in again, guys.
Yes.
Okay, so we need to speed up. Ms. Thompson told me I need to speed up. So we know what relapse is, right? So relapse is what we go back into when we go back to use. So I just want to say about stage of change. It's not circular like it is. You could go from bounce. You could go from maintenance to contemplation. You could say you get the efforts and you say, I don't want to do this anymore, right? You could. So it's not just circular. It's you could go
interchangeable.
back. Yes, interchangeable. You could go back from one to the other. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so we have risk assessments. The two risk assessments that we use, right? These are the major risk assessments that we use, right? We use YLS. You should be familiar with the YLS, right? That's what we use for adolescents.
Family court.
Yes, family court. Yes, family court. And actually, adult court may use it as well for the younger kids, right?
ACE.
Yes, may use it. Yes. Yes, yes. And then we have the LSIR
IR.
inventory revised. Yes. We have the long version and the short version.
Both. Short version is the first one you use when.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the long version is
That's
after.
intake, right?
That's
45
intake.
days.
Intake
That's
uses
intake, the short version.
Correct.
Yes,
Long
yes.
version is the PO.
Correct.
Yes, yes. And we use, we also have overrides, but overrides are not easily done. Override needs to go between the branch chiefs, right? The two
Right.
branch chiefs, right? So it's not easily done, but we do have the capacity to override, but that is not an easy process. We can't just arbitrarily decide to override.
There is something else, that there are other assessment tools we
Yes.
use, like we use the RAI, that's used in family court.
Correct.
We use the static 99, which is for sex offenders. We use that as assessment tool also.
Yes, we in Queens, we have the DV, we have DV assessment that's used in Queens. It slipped my mind. If anyone from the DV unit is on, please, we have SOTIPS, right? Is that you, Kruger, SOTIPS?
No, that's his computer. His computer did it by itself.
Okay, because I know SOTIPS was a long time ago. I haven't heard about that in a while.
What's
Okay,
the
but there is a
DV?
DV and
What's the-
static 99. Static 99 is the sex offender.
And what's the DV assessment?
It slipped my mind. Anyone in the family court, in adult, the DV in Queens, if you're on the line, please let us know. It slipped my mind. I forgot what it is.
DVSIR.
Right.
DVSIR?
Yeah.
Correct. Is that in family court? Is that in adult court or family
In
court?
an adult.
In adult. Okay, then, yes. So those are, so when we think of the client's risk level, the LSIR and the YLS is going to give you their overall risk level to recidivate. But when clients have particular crimes, right, like sex offender, DWI, maybe a DWI or a DV case, those units have to do a special assessment because a sex offender is going to score very low on the LSIR. Someone who's domestic violence who causes harm is going to score low. Okay, so those special unit want to use those special assessments. So we can move on.
We need to make sure we get to talk about the 6 drivers.
Yes, oh yes. So we have the individual, we have the individual action plan, right? The LSIR drives the individual action plan. The LSIR and the YLS drives the individual action plan. The assessment and the LSIR, the assessment and the IAP must be completed in 30 business days. Okay, we don't know what's on the test, but we know this is something that's a rule. 30 business days, okay? The PO and the probation clients get together and they set the goals and needs. All subsequent meeting after the initial intake with the client or after the IAP is completed must involve the IAP, right? That's the only way that you'll really remember what the goals and the needs are of the client, right? So remember, 30 business days. How many weeks is the initial, the supervision is 6 weeks, right? So by the time you get the LSIR, 6 weeks, right? It's about 6 weeks, right?
Yes.
Could we go to the next one? So we have the big 4, right? The big 4 is established when our client has an established criminal history. So when we're talking about criminal history, is it static or is it dynamic?
Static.
Static, right? It cannot be changed. But because it cannot be changed, it doesn't mean that we should not address it. We must address it because if the person has a history of antisocial behaviors at an early onset, like kids who have behaviors that potentially lead to criminal behavior, this is important. If they have multiple arrests over a period of time, right? They have a disregard for the system. So when we think about criminal history, we need to think about changing their thinking patterns. This is what it's about, their values and their attitudes around their criminal offenses and thinking that it's okay. So think about criminal history this way. Like many of us have family histories of, say, heart disease, right? Now, can you control that you have a heart disease in your family, in the family? Can we control that?
No.
Right. But as individuals, right, we still have to pay attention to that history, right? What does that mean though? If we're paying attention, what are we doing?
Observing, monitoring.
Prevention.
We're doing prevention, right? Exactly. So we're minding what we eat, what we drink, we're exercising. So use that scenario when it comes to criminal history, right? We can't change it, but we have to do something about it or we die, okay? If we don't do something about it, the probation client will get arrested again, okay? So the next one is antisocial personality pattern. This is someone who's impulsive, pleasure-seeking, they're aggressive, right? Think about, we're not talking diagnosable behaviors, but when you see your clients who do things that are just reckless behavior, like kids who drive you ever see somebody surf the train or drive the bus?
Yeah.
Yes, that's antisocial personality pattern, right? This very pleasure-seeking. They're impulsive, they're rash, right? We have antisocial cognition. Now, this deals with their attitudes, the attitudes and orientation. Which one of the domains should always be in the IAP?
Attitudes and
orientation.
Attitudes and orientation must always be on the IAP.
Yeah.
So this is what we're talking about, the person's antisocial cognition. We're talking about their attitudes and values and their belief, their thinking styles that is supportive of crime, and they rationalize the offense. Like they always blame the victim or blame others. They never take accountability for their behavior. The next one we have is antisocial companion peers. They're influenced or supported by others engaged in criminal or antisocial behaviors. So these are the big fours, okay? The big fours. Take a picture of it, snap it. Okay, could we go to the next one? Now we have, this is probation's big four, right? And it also is also in alignment with it. Do you notice that it's in alignment with it? We have attitudes and orientation, right? We have companion, we have emotional and personal, right? Which is that impulsivity. And then we have criminal history, right? It's in alignment with ours. This is our big four, but it's in alignment with the big four because of the research. Yes, you see, it's in alignment, okay? So we could keep moving on. And these are these are not the big four, but these are just other domains, right? For our LSIR, you guys know this, so we could just move on. This is the next, yeah, okay. Oh, this was out of place, Ms. Thompson.
So
Do we
let's
know
just
what
skip it. So let's just skip this.
You guys make sure y'all know what restitution is, some of the rules around restitution. So we have the 6 drivers.
You must know this.
The 6 drivers.
Right.
Take a picture of it, snap it. So we have client development. We have community engagement. We have, again, risk needs responsivity. We have staff development. We have caseload explorer or case management. And we have the we. Just remember these 6 drivers, okay? Just in case they ask you what the drivers are. Take a picture of it, snap it. And the next one? Is that it, Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Oh, this is the
we
Brad
already
H.
spoke about the Brad H case already.
Yeah.
We did that. The one thing that we wanted to tell you guys, now we're going to post into the into the chat. Miss Johnson, can you put in the chat the SPO test prep stuff? And if she
Put stuff
can't,
or put
I'm
it
going
where
to,
they can find it.
yeah, put where you can find it. It's on the UPOA, UnitedProbation.com.
No, it's on UPOA.com.
Okay, UPOA.com. Or
So-
if you, go on.
So,
It's on you.
we just wanted to mention Intel. You know, I was talking to some of the guys in Intel today. There is an EPAP on Intel. So just, we don't know if it's on the task, but just be mindful of what Intel is. And the EPAP is 10-02-03. Yes, okay, just peruse it and see the reasons for the referral, what their responsibilities are, okay?
And we want to reiterate to you guys, make sure that you read your code of conduct.
Go to the next one. Could you go to the next one?
And time and leave.
Could you go to the next one, Tanja? Could you post it again? The last one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Most disabled participant.
Not a material.
Oh. Trina, I'm sorry, I don't have the ability anymore.
Oh, no. Oh, okay.
That's
then.
because, you know why? Because the time is up. But listen, what I want to tell you guys, if you need something or you think you're missing something, you can send a request to me and I will get it to you tonight. Okay? Here's my email address. Vera, VERA, at UPOA.com. That's Vera at UPOA.com.
You're welcome.
Okay, if you send it to me before 8 o'clock, you get it all. If you send it to me after 8 o'clock, you have to ask somebody else.
I am putting the UPOA information,
yes,
the link where they can find.
And good luck to everyone.
Information.
Tanja, can you turn it into a PDF before you post it on the website?
Yes.
Okay. And good luck, everyone. Remember, policy over practice. Think like a SPO, your best SPO that you've ever had, okay? Think like the best SPO you've ever had. The one that you hated for making you following all the guidelines. That one.
Oh, Lord, let's not go down the list.
And don't forget, take down your answers so that if you want to contest the exam, you need to know what answer you have indicated. So you need a record of your answers.
And good luck.
Thank you.
Yes.